My guest today on Time with Flora is Paul Emslie. Paul is an executive and leadership coach. He is also the founder and chief executive officer at The Growing Coaches. Paul says that he has spent 25 character building years working across several big retail businesses, from shop floor to the boardroom, and that he has found that the one key thing that made the difference, the biggest difference, to overall performance was great leadership. Enjoy this podcast. Paul, it's a pleasure having you in the studio today. Tell us a bit about your career journey to date and some of those values that have guided the choices that you have made.
Hi, it's Paul Emslie here. It's great to be here with Flora on Time with Flora. So my career, I guess a lot of people, when I left university in my early 20s, I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I'd studied economics, and the traditional career path was to move into accounting or finance or banking. And if I'm honest, I really didn't fancy that. But I didn't know what I wanted to do. And by chance, I ended up with a part-time job in a electrical retail business up in sunny Aberdeen in the north of Scotland. The business was called Comet. And for my sins, I spent about 2.5 years working in 2 Comet stores in Aberdeen. But I fell in love with retail. I fell in love with talking to customers, the processes, the people. And I did realise that I didn't want a frontline career in retail, so to move into management within shops or stores. And I was presented with an opportunity to move down to the head office. Which is many, many years ago in my mid-20s. And I guess I just learned a lot. I worked really hard. I was surrounded by some great people. I had some great leaders and managers who supported my development. I always worked in commercial or marketing roles. And I spent a total of 25 years in retail, working across 4 different businesses. And the last 7 years I spent on the board of 2 businesses. First of all, as a commercial director, so responsible for all buying and merchandising, supply chain, use of space in the stores. And then after that, I was responsible for the same, but also for marketing, also for e-commerce, and customer loyalty schemes, and a restaurant business. So quite a broad remit in total. I guess in terms of the values that drove my career decisions, that is one of the reasons why I took some time out, which I know we'll come on to. But I didn't really feel like I drove my own career choices. And what I mean by that is I was very responsive to the next opportunity that came my way. And it was mainly people having conversations with me about opportunities in other businesses, or people having conversations with me about the next opportunity within the business that I was in. Because I'd worked hard, I had a good reputation, people wanted to keep me in that business, and therefore they put their arms around me, they supported my development, and they created opportunities for me to move into bigger and broader roles, which is great. But on reflection, I was guided by others rather than really driving my own agenda, having figured out what my own agenda was.
You recently posted about taking time out from your work career to enjoy more of life. Why was that important to you, Paul, and what have you learned?
That's a really good question, Flora. And I guess there's a few pieces that I'd like to draw out. So, first of all, back in 2016, I did step out of a business with the intention of taking some time out, in inverted commas. But another opportunity came along immediately, and it was just too good an opportunity to pass up on. So I stepped straight back into another big corporate role in a private equity-backed business. So a proper turnaround, high pressure, long days, not a lot of sleep. And that was always going to be a 2 to 3 year role. So a planned exit in January last year was very welcome. And I was absolutely determined to take some proper time out to experience life again, to catch up on life's list of jobs that we tend to struggle to get to when we're working so hard. And to do a few things. So the few things that were on my mind at the time were spend some more time with the kids and the family, catch up on that life list. So it was a long list. I pulled the list together. I passed it by Mrs. Emslie, and she signed it off, which was amazing. She signed it off straight away and didn't give me too much of a hard time about how I was getting on with the list. I'm pleased to say that the list is complete, as it should be, because we're over a year into the future. The other thing that I wanted to do was to have a bit of fun, have some interests. So we got a dog. We now have 2, so we've fallen in love with dogs. And they keep us amused and fairly busy. And I'd always, or certainly for 10 years plus, been fascinated by the world of coaching, executive and leadership coaching. It had been a large part of my leadership style for many, many years. And I wanted to obtain an accredited qualification in coaching. So, as you know, Flora, because we were there together, I went to Henley Business School, and I've just completed that part of the course. And what I found as I went through the months of taking some time out was I enjoyed it, perhaps a little bit too much. And not being quite ready for retirement, I thought, well, actually, I've got some decisions to make. And I reached a career, some people say crossroads, I would say a T-junction, because continuing straight ahead wasn't really an option, given that I was on some time out. And therefore, the option was turn left and go back into a big corporate role, or turn right and do my own thing. And the doing my own thing really appealed. So that's what I've been doing. I set up my own coaching practice. I've been taking on clients. I've continued my studies at Henley, moving on to the Masters in Coaching and Behavioural Change. And whilst I was at Henley, I also spotted a new business opportunity, which I have pretty much just launched, which is a website which connects people going through accredited coach training programs with people in companies or individuals who are looking for more transparent, more accessible, and definitely more affordable coaching. So that's very exciting. It's quite daunting because I'm used to delegating to large teams, and my delegation tends to happen in front of a mirror.
What is your advice to individuals currently reflecting on that need to make a dramatic change to their career?
There's a quote by Henry Ford, who was the founder of Ford Motor Cars in America. And he famously said, "Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. And what he means by that is that our thoughts and our beliefs really drive our confidence and really drive our actions. And therefore, the one piece of advice I would say is think positively and believe in yourself, which I know can be perhaps underestimating the scale of the thought of change, particularly when it comes to career. But beyond that, I think there's a few pieces of advice that I would give. So definitely, to begin with, believe in yourself and think positively, and figure out a way that works best for you to get you into that positive mindset, because 99% of the time everything is going to be okay. There are no disasters waiting around the corner. The other thing I would suggest is that if it's something you're seriously considering, have lots of conversations with people you trust in your network. It could be family, friends, a mentor, a coach if you have one, but find some thinking partners to talk it through with. And you may or may not have an idea of what you want to do. And I'm sure whatever it is, the shift from doing something that you know and are very experienced at into something that is new, the thought is quite scary. But talking that through with several people, getting some advice, getting your head around it, and really understanding what your options are is a good thing to do. And the other thing to remember is that it doesn't necessarily have to be an all or nothing. So this, this dramatic shift, I guess it depends on the definition of dramatic and how dramatic. But not in all cases does it have to be an all or nothing. So there are several examples of people who migrate towards new things. For example, having a sideline or reducing their hours in their current role, moving more part-time, so they can focus on doing their own thing. But I wouldn't let it worry you. I wouldn't dwell on it. I would be active and positively active in your own mind, positively active with your network and people you trust, and positive in terms of your beliefs around how good a move it will be for you. And that's really how I've approached it in my move. I don't regret it at all, but it's tough. It is tough, but very rewarding at the same time.